Hey everybody. Oh, my video's gone. And it's back. Sweet. Sweet. So how are you all out there? Hope you're doing fantastic, doing great. I am for sure, because this week is book launch week. So happy to hold this amazing thing in my hand. It is exciting, and all these amazing authors have helped me launch, well, will launch this amazing book, Superconscious Transformation, and boy, it's a good one. So anyway, thought I'd just share it with you guys that are here with me, you 50 people, you 50 amazing humans that are here with me on this call. So that's exciting. We're very happy to be sharing that out into the world, and the main reason why I'm so excited is we're in this remarkable opportunity with a lot of chaos, so we get to rebirth how we're going to be and rewrite the human story, which is such an interesting thing. We've had so much abundance thrust our way, and now the democratization of manual labor, and now democratization of expertise is just incredible. So cool, so exciting to see everything that we're manifesting now. It's really, really fun. What a fun game we get to play. So I'm gearing up for a massive second half of this year, and I hope you guys are too. Whatever it is that you're focused on, and whatever you're creating, and whatever it is that you're putting out there into the world. So we've got a good session. Let me just get my notes here of what I wanted to cover in today's session. We're going to have a good one. That's the key. We're going to have a good one. So the premise of today is a good one, which is that tension always seeks resolution. Tension always seeks resolution. Whenever there's a tension in the universe, it must resolve itself in some way or another. You know what I mean? What are some examples of tension structures? One example is when you're hungry, must resolve itself. But another form of tension is the tension that allows a plane to fly. And so the reason why a plane flies is because the air pressure on one side of the wing is different from the air pressure of the other side of the wing. And so the plane can only fly because the tension between the two air pressures seeks resolution and flies. The only way that we can stand upright is that we have tension that is holding everything together. Our muscles and joints and ligaments are in tension. If you see a dam full of water, there is tension, it seeks resolution. And behind me, you can see this beautiful diagram that's written here. Well, no, you can't, but there will be a beautiful one up there soon. Right now, it's just blank, but I'm going to choose. And the tension is that it's going to have an amazing diagram up here soon, but right now it doesn't. So tension is a disequilibrium, okay? And it always seeks to go back to equilibrium. So when something is in tension, there's a disequilibrium. Then it seeks to get back to equilibrium. Okay, so if you stretch your rubber band, and it wants to come back together, seek equilibrium. Everything wants to seek that balance point. So this is crucial in understanding how to manifest. Crucial. Problem is the way that most of us resolve tension is by telling ourselves a story about what it is that we need to change, fix, or heal about ourselves. That's how we resolve the tension. Does that make sense? Because The unconscious notices the tension, but it tells the wrong story. So I want you to think about a goal. Think about a goal that you want to achieve, you've wanted to achieve for a while, but you haven't yet. Think about a goal that you want to achieve, want to achieve for a long while and haven't yet. We're going to call that goal a choice, and it's out here in the desired reality. And if you haven't created that choice or that goal yet, there is a tension, a disequilibrium between what you want, the finished house, the multi-million-dollar business, the amazing body shape, the love of your life. There's a tension between that and not having it. Okay, just like there's a tension between being hungry and then being full. There's a tension. You desire to be full. You desire that change. So this here is the creative tension. What happens is when we notice this tension, our unconscious tells us the wrong story. So instead of saying, out here is a business making tons of money, and here I have a little bit of money. Instead of telling the obvious story, which is I need to go and make the money, create the money, what is a story that the unconscious might tell to explain away the tension? Someone type that in. To explain away the tension. See, there's tension, hey? So over here is love. And here is not love. And so there's tension, right? Over here is purpose. Over here is stuck in a job you hate. There's tension between the two. There's tension, yeah? So what are some ways that we explain away the tension? So instead of just acknowledging, I'm stuck in a job and I want to be living my purpose and I want to move countries, I want to live in Costa Rica and be an online health coach. Instead of doing that, our unconscious plays a funny game and it tells us a story. And the story is of what we must do instead in order to then go and have what we want. So there's an action here, and we all know the action. I'm telling you, there's an action. For whatever you want to create, there's an action. You want to have a worldwide coaching business like I have? Put on a webinar. Keep running that webinar, get good enough at that webinar, become so good at that webinar that thousands of people sign up to your program. I'm telling you, that's the action. But we don't do it. Instead, we tell ourselves a story. And we detract ourselves by resolving a tension in a different way. And so this story that we tell ourselves is based on a wound. It's based on this wound. So instead of taking the action, it's much easier to say, but there's something I need to fix, heal, or resolve about myself first. Isn't that strange? Can we all just agree that's really strange, right? Like, if we need to have a different colored house, the action is to paint the house that color. But instead, someone finds themselves, oh, I don't know what color I really want. I don't know if I could ever paint a house. What if I screw it up? I've never done it before. What if other people laugh at me? Blah, blah, blah. And all of that action is to resolve a wound. Is to resolve a wound, to resolve this part of us. And what we do is we get stuck in this loop between the wound and the ideal self that we think we must need to be. We get stuck looping, trying to become this ideal self and to avoid the wound. So instead of taking the action, people choose to not get rejected. Instead of taking the action, people choose to be right. Instead of taking the action, people choose to feel good. Instead of taking the action, people choose to try to heal, improve, fix themselves. You see that? Why do they do that? Because tension seeks resolution. Because tension seeks resolution. And so you're either focused on resolving how you feel wounded by trying to create the ideal way to be, or you're focused on the end result and the action you should take. And so we've all been given this wrong operating system that there's a way we need to be in order to then go and create the life we love. One example of an operating system is you're born into sin. You can't help it. You got to be really good in this lifetime. If you're good, you go to heaven. If you're bad, you go to hell. That's an operating system. Another operating system is that this life is completely about suffering. And you must overcome suffering. And if you overcome suffering in this lifetime, you never have to incarnate again. And so we get born into these models of the world that simply cause people to not create what they really want. Instead of realizing that they're actually not broken and that they can just accept who they are, stop trying to solve it, and just create what they love. Tension seeks resolution. So what if there was nothing you needed to fix, heal, or solve about yourself? What if there was no psychological tension on how you needed to be? What if you couldn't be better or worse or more healed? What if you couldn't be happier or sadder? What if you couldn't be perfect, more perfect or fixed? What if you couldn't be more needed or worthy or more good enough? What if you couldn't be any smarter or loved or powerful or safe? What if you couldn't be any more of any of that or any less of any of that? What if you just took a breath and realized that you and I are so much more than that? So just take a moment and just notice that you are not your computer. And then just notice that you are not your hand. You are not your hand. And then you must notice that you have a hand and that you have a computer, but you're not it. But now notice that you have thoughts. But notice that you're not your thoughts. And then notice that you have feelings, these weird impulses. But notice you're not your feelings. And then notice that you have worries, but you're not your worries. Then notice that you have a life, but you're not your life. And then notice that you have dreams or choices or creations or end results, but you're not them either. Notice that you have all of those things, but you're not them. And so then, if you're not a thought, if you're not a feeling, if you're not a dream, a desire, a worry, or a goal, if you're not any of that, if you're not a life, if you're not a body, then what are you? Here's for sure. You're definitely not something that's broken or wounded or needing fixing or needing improving, are you? Think about it. And so when you truly understand what you are, notice how silly it is to continually give the power to a way that you feel incomplete or wounded. And so what if instead of giving the power to that, what if you realize that you get to create and manifest whatever you choose to create or manifest in this lifetime? And that is the highest act of being a spiritual energy, is to turn your invisible impulses into reality. How could you be any more aligned with the essence that you are than if you're turning the invisible into visible? And so tension seeks resolution. And the key is, where are you putting your power? Are you putting your power, also known as your focus, on how you need to fix or improve? Or are you putting it on what you want to manifest? And that will determine your structure and it will determine your results. So what is that big thing that you want to create that really matters to you? What is that? What is it that really matters to you that you want to manifest without needing or tuning into this idea that there's something that precludes you from having it? Just without limitation. What would you love? How would you like it to be? And what would it be like to give up the self-help loop? Do you guys know the self-help loop? Do I need to tell you the self-help loop again? The self-help loop is when you have a wound and then you try to create an ideal self that is free of the wound. And you do that through self-help. Can you guys give me a list of all the self-help things we've tried? Recode, NLP, MAP, natural success trainings, hypnosis, diets, keto diets, biohacking, breathing, tapping, meditation, Robbins, shadow work, oils, going to the gym, Zumba, CrossFit, ice baths, saunas. Why does the self-help loop happen? Because we think we're wounded, so we try to do something to create a different version of ourselves to fix it. But we've only ever given the power to being wounded, so we never are able to escape it because that's who we are. We're wounded. This is where the power is. So we go to the Joe Dispenza course and it works for a little bit and it pulls us back. Then we go to Greg Braden, then Lynn McTaggart. And every time we're trying to fix, improve, or heal an identity that believes it's not got the power and it needs to be different. And who's seen this loop? And loop and loop. Can we all agree that the self-help loop is better than not doing self-help? Right? Can we agree there's people who do nothing and they struggle in life, and then an advanced version of struggle is the self-help loop? Can everyone agree? It's just a more advanced version. Because how many times do you meet people who have done tons of courses and they still don't have the money, the relationship, and the body and the purpose that they really want? I once met a person and it was their 12th year going to Tony Robbins seminars and they still were struggling to pay the bills. It's like, because the identity is that they just stay in this loop. And I did it, and did you do it as well? Did we all do it, eh? And it's just a more advanced version of struggle. And then you can add all the religions in there of how you need to be a perfect way. That's in the self-help loop. Then you can add all therapies in there. You can add going and getting more education and more trainings and more certifications. You can put everything in the self-help loop that is not just trusting your natural ability to create a life you love. And so at some point, you've been called to this work. And you come into this work, and guess what? The first thing that you use this work for? Self-help. You turn Recode into this, another way to create the ideal self. And you wonder why it's another one that's not working for you. And it's because you have to have the courage to say, I'm actually don't need fixing. I'm actually totally fine. And when you give up that idea that there's something that you need to be, you know, if I was just perfect, if I just did this differently, if I just ate better, if you just give it up. You say, I'm actually fine the way I am. Nothing's wrong. I'm a walking, talking piece of hydrogen. What the heck is this about? I don't know. I get that I have around about 100 or so years to experience this. What would I love to experience? And then when you let go of this and you have no past, You just say, what would I love? And your life becomes art. And you get to have the biggest blessing of all, which is to actually know yourself as a creator, to birth things in the world that don't exist, to think up an idea and think, you know what? I would love to have 12 people write a book with me. And now you hold it in your hands. And you're pregnant with the idea, and you go through months and months, and then you birth it, and it exists. And that's when you get to play with the universe at your highest vibration. And so the first step is always the same, is to be without a past. Be without a past. Be without it. You don't need a past. To be a creator, past is irrelevant. Past is completely irrelevant. It's so crucial to get this. The past is irrelevant. Let me give you an example. If you wanted to create an amazing garden, like a food forest full of the most amazing food, the most amazing vegetables, fruits, like avocado trees, citrus, like just. And what must you do? What must you do? So say that's your end result. What must you do? The first thing you must do is you must meditate, right, and heal yourself and have the right mantras and get up early and drink a particular type of water with pink Himalayan salt in it, and meditate in the right vibrational place and focus on it for the perfect amount of time. And you must ensure that you only eat organic food, and that you don't have any negative or opposing beliefs in it, right? Like, this is what you must do, right? You must be prepared and ready, and you must read a bunch of books about how to do the garden right, and ensure that you've got perfect mentors who also can prove to you in this lifetime that they've also created a garden. And you must be in the top tier program, paying the $10,000 per quarter on an annuity, and ensuring that you're eating exactly what they eat, and red light therapies and saunas and cabbage in the morning, and all carnivore diet, intermittent fasting on Mondays through Fridays. This is what you must do, right? This is the answer. No, what you must do is you must first go, okay, what sort of garden do I want? You must design it in your mind. Then you must find a piece of land to do the garden on. Then you must clear and organize the land and the soil. Then you must get the right seeds and the right fertilizer and the right soil, and create the enclosure. And then you must assimilate to being a good gardener. You must plant seeds and pull weeds and become a gardener, and you must wait for rain, and maybe a cyclone comes, or a storm, or weather, or this. You must become a good gardener. And if you do this, and as you're doing it, you assimilate and you get help along the way and talk to others and you connect with it, you become a good gardener. What do you get? You'll have a garden that provides you with all the food. Now, let me just ask you, does it matter what color skin? Does it matter if they're black, white, yellow, pink, blue, orange skin color? Does it matter how old they are? Does it matter if they're grumpy or sad? Does it matter if they're positive? Does it matter if they're positive or negative? Does it matter if they ascribe to a certain religion? Does it matter which God they pray to? Does any of that matter? No. What's the only thing that matters? That they do it. And that they assimilate to being a good gardener. At the beginning, are they a good gardener? No. They'll be a shit gardener. They assimilate to it. Through the action. They become it through the action. But their families never had a garden before. They don't come from garden. In fact, they've got ancestral beliefs that say, if you have a garden, it will be taken away from you. So they need to go clear that first. Of course not. This is the answer. So this is the creative energy I'm talking about. And I want to imprint that onto your mind today, that whatever the choice is that you're doing, that's your garden, that's going to nourish and feed you and your family, that's going to give you what you need. It's actually simple. The steps are simple. Someone says, what if you're a terrible gardener in your past? What if you're a terrible gardener in your past life? Exactly. And so here's the point. The first step is to imagine you have no past. The second step is say, what would I love? The third step is to start taking action towards it, the most obvious action. The fourth step is as you're taking action, your past is going to jump out, and through thoughts and feelings, it's going to try to tell you how you can't do it and how you need to resolve the tension in a different way by solving thoughts and feelings. Thoughts and feelings of how you're incapable and not good enough and everyone's going to laugh at you and why are you even bothering it? It doesn't matter. You won't change the world anyway. All these thoughts and feelings are going to come out. And so as you're doing the first steps, you're taking the action, you're focusing, you're doing it. As these thoughts come out, and it's inevitable that they turn up, oh, you should never have started this garden anyway. What are you thinking? Just easier to go down to the shop. Someone else is doing it. Like, what are you talking about? That you need all organic food, rubbish, glyphosates and everything anyway. What really matters? It's all there. So much easier. You're wasting so much time. If you just put this in, all these thoughts, right? These thoughts will be there. This is where Recode comes in. That when you're taking the action, when you're out there and you're gardening and these thoughts and feelings come up, this is where when the Recode comes in, you let go. You use Recode to smooth over anything so that your past goes away. You see the difference? It's when you're in that creative structure, you're going for it. And so when you saw me bring the two women out on stage, they were in their end result. They took action, meaning they were standing in front of an audience. And then as they're standing, speaking in front of an audience, that's when I did the Recode. I didn't have them sit and do the Recode and then come and do it. They were already in action. And I got to tell you, this flip to being in action and doing Recode is everything. Not doing Recode and then being in action. And it sounds trivial. Doesn't it sound trivial? Well, Chris, you're just talking about which order to do it in. But a lot of times when you do it in this order and you get out there and you're taking the action, you're doing it anyway, the Recode just is like this extra push to have you take more action. So can I get around to guess? Is this landing with you all today? Are you getting it? It's time to let go of the self-help loop. Structure has integrity. The structure that you're in creates. And most people have potential way up here, but they're caught in the self-help loop, going to course after course after course, spending tens of thousands of dollars down here, going around and around and around, improving themselves, fixing themselves, this thing, next mentor, this. Yet the super achievers, we're out here and we're doing it a different way. We're choosing what we want. We're writing new books. I think I've released 4 books in the last 18 months. Maybe 1. AI Consultant, Superconscious Secrets, Integrate Your Shadow, Transformation, and Path. 5 books. I've released 5 books in 18 months, and I've got 3 that'll be released by the end of this year. You know what I mean? Most people don't even write 1 book. Like how do you get into this super creator mode? Where you're just out there going for it, changing lives, doing it. Yeah. So should we do our process? So we'll do the process, and it's a neurocreation process. It's how to use your neurology to create. So first step, what would you choose to manifest? What is one thing that you would love to create? Write it down. Now, all studies say everything is created twice, first in your mind and then in reality. You must be able to hold it in your mind before you can hold it in your hand. Learning to create this result in your mind is crucial. If you cannot hold it in your mind, you will never hold it in your hand. There's a saying, a reporter talked to Walt Disney's daughter and said, "Oh, this is amazing looking at Disneyland. Isn't it sad that your father never got to see this?" And she scoffed. She said, "What are you talking about? You only get to see this because he saw it." I always remember that. We only got to see Disneyland because he saw it first. He never got to see it built. He never saw Disneyland built, but he saw it first. So once you've got it written down, whatever it is, I want you to think of a moment in the future when that has been manifest. Do you think about a time in the future where that thing has been manifest, it's been created? What would make up a future moment? Remember a future moment where that's just been created. Yeah. And now close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, I want you to just imagine you have no past. Imagine you have no past and choose that result. I choose it. Say in your mind as I say it out loud, I choose the end result of. And as you choose it, step into that future moment. Just make a future moment up where you're already experiencing that result. See it through your own eyes, hear it with your own ears, and become it. What would it be like to be the person who's just achieved that? How does it feel? What do you say to yourself? See it through your own eyes, hear it with your own ears, breathe in with the lungs of the you that has already created that result, and notice how it is. What's it like to be this person? What's it like to have this result? Yeah. How does that feel? And so that's your choice. So leave that point out in your future and come back to now. So that's out there in the future. And doesn't it feel good to tune into that? But this is only half the equation because we don't just want to experience things in our mind. Some people, when they do this, they say, "Oh, well, that's done." It's not done. It's not done. It's only getting baked. It's very fragile. It's done when you got to hold it in your hand. It's not done. You're just starting to get an impression of what it's to be. In fact, many times it will turn out very different to that. But this just starts to build it. So now you must go, compared to that, what's it like now? So that's what's out there. So step 3 in the neurocreation process, step 3, come back to now, right? Like, what's it now? So just acknowledge what's it like now. So just acknowledge, what's it like now? Here's the mistake, right? What's it like now? What everyone says when I ask them, what's it like now compared to that? Do you think people tell me their current reality, or do they tell me what their wounded self believes about it? Every time I ask this, so what's it like now? They say, oh, I'm frustrated, or it's not good enough, or it's not that. They straight away, instead of saying, I want tons of money and I don't have as much as I want. That instead of saying, I want to be in love with the perfect person and now I'm single. They don't say how it is. Instead, they say this. They say this. They put the power straight here. As soon as we go into the now, they talk about how they can't do it. And as soon as they say, oh, I'm frustrated, or I'm this, or I'm not smart enough, then they suddenly jump straight down to doing this and they dismiss all this tension. Who did that, by the way? Who, instead of just saying, oh, it's just this, who went into a story about how they are not able to have it? Who did it? Yeah, yeah. I see this every time. We're conditioned, instead of just to say, I want a multi-million-dollar mansion, fully paid off on the beach, and right now I'm renting. We say I'm renting and I'm frustrated and I'm pissed off and or whatever, or whatever. We don't just say it. I want to have a body shape that's, fits into this dress, and right now, I don't have it. Like, that's the truth. That's creativity. Instead, we add this meta layer of what our human self-conscious mind thinks is wrong with that and what we must do to fix it. Yeah, yeah, and just a round of yeses. Who can acknowledge that you're just like me and you do that too? Because that's how I started. I was taught to not trust that I can create whatever I love. I was taught that I had to fix myself, improve myself, or help myself. That's what I was taught. I was taught that I had to go to school and learn all of these things. I was taught that I needed to be a different way. Sit down, shut up. Like, I was taught that. I was conditioned that you must be good, you must be this, you must be that. I was taught. I wasn't taught how to be a creator. And so when you really tune into it, what's the truth? What's the truth of the current reality? The truth, if you step into your true superconscious awareness, the part of you that, your highest intelligence, the truth is that you just got to be a good gardener. Does that make sense? The truth is that this is the current reality and you just got to go be a good gardener. You acknowledge how it is, you acknowledge how you feel, you acknowledge the thoughts, you acknowledge them. That's the truth. And so what we must do is have the ability to take the action. And if you have resistance to the action, there's a part of you. So the word resistance means to stand against. So if you feel there's a part of you that stands against the action, well, that's resistance. Do you follow it? Resistance means to stand against. To stand against. So you have part of you that's standing against the action. So when you think about your end result out there, you think about your current reality and you think about the next action, right? Whatever that next action is, going, dating, running a webinar, publishing a book, going to the gym, eating, less than you burn, leaving your job, leaving your spouse, whatever it is. When you think about that action, is there part of your consciousness that stands against it? And usually the answer is yes. Usually the answer is yes. So this is where Recode jumps in. Recode, as you all know, is the most powerful way to teach your brain to let go of the past. What you must always remember is that many things happened in your past, but it's the meaning that you placed on those that causes the resistance. Two people can have the exact same experience, have completely different meaning, and have very different relationships to what they resist. And so we use a beautiful metaphor of a football field, and you want to imagine that your goal is at the end of the football field, and you can't get there because the gophers have put mounds of dirt. Little animals, those little gophers, have crawled up out of the ground and created mounds of dirt all in your way, so you can't get there at all. And we just have the superconscious smooth out the dirt because it's created this and can see how all the holes and all the dirt was created, smooths it out so you can just go towards your goal with ease. And so if you have resistance, just acknowledge it. Out of 10, how much out of 10 does your consciousness focus down here? 10 out of 10 is like you feel frozen. 0 out of 10 is you're taking the action. It's all good. 5 out of 10 is kind of like, it's scary. Feels scary to the unconscious. So when you're ready, we want that resistance down to 0. So just close your eyes. And as you do, just connect with your superconscious, your higher self. And do that by imagining a ball of white light above your head. Universal healing energy, white light above your head. Imagine this ball of universal sun energy, this light, this beautiful universal, like a pearl white, shines the light down to the top of your head, beaming healing energy through your whole skull, through your whole body. Allow this light to go through every cell, every strand of DNA, out your fingertips, creating a white bubble of healing light all around you, like an egg-shaped shell feeding through the top of your brain, down through your skull, feeding back around. And just allow this light to circle background through the ball, through your body, background, until you just become the light all around you, above you. Just become this light. And this is your superconscious. Just imagine this, and imagine that you have no past, that you're just light. Imagine that you're just light and that you start to float up, and your head floats up, and it's now where that ball of light started from. It's inside your head. And from this place, ask your superconscious to create the perfect treatment plan. ask your highest mind to create the perfect treatment plan of all resistance and to remember who you truly are. Superconscious, please treat all this resistance into a massive change history. Please find the original event that's creating the meaning for the resistance. Find the original event, and Superconscious, please treat that original event and do a full recode. Thank you. Just allow the process to take place. If there are any part-time personalities causing resistance, the protector, controller, people pleaser, inner child, any part-time personalities causing resistance, Superconscious, please treat that as well. And as the treatment takes place, just notice what you notice, expect nothing. Just notice how it feels to step into that action and that end result even more. Really try it on. What would it be like to be a person just taking that action? Superconscious, now treat the past and the current reality for any final resistance. And just imagine that you're taking the action, you're doing what's needed, you're moving on with it, and that the resistance is just falling away. You know, like those propellants on a rocket up into space, and then it just, once it gets to a certain place, those jets just fall away. And so you just are able to continue without that burden. And then just breathe that in, breathe in through your heart. Feel gratitude for who you've been and excitement for who you're becoming. And just keep breathing as your highest mind, your superconscious, does all the work. Superconscious, please ground all the memories we've touched today and reconnect them back to the matrix of the universe. When you're ready to come back, noticing what's different, take a few breaths and slowly come back to the session, come back to now. And just as you're coming back, just write down that action that you must take to move towards your goal. Just write down that action. What is that action? And notice as you write it down, how you orient different to that action. Awesome. Come on back. Let me know how you're all feeling. Drop a chat in. Awesome, 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 my friends. I hope you had a great session. Yeah. Have an awesome week out there. I so love supporting this group. Hey, we have lots to do. We have lots to do, and we need creators. We need to birth a new world. You know, as Bucky Fuller said, we're in our final exam as a species, and I really choose to be part of the human story, you know, part of a human success story that figures out how to combine our artificial intelligence we've just created in nature in a really harmonious, beautiful way for everyone to thrive. Yeah, I really choose that. Have a freaking amazing week out there. Stay focused. If you do want to upgrade to one-on-one coaching, there is availability. So do reach out to us about that. Stay tuned for a live event announcement. We are getting our live event dates for Australia and for USA together. So that's coming up. So very exciting about to share all that with you. Have a great week, and I'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye, everyone.